Hello YouTube, this is Dexter Nolan here with a brand new deck profile. This is my Mermails version 2. It runs a few extra cards and I took out a few cards I wasn't so fond of. All in all, it's pretty much the same monster spell trap count, although I do run Moulinglacia now, and I also run a couple of other tech choices over my previous build. So let's get straight into it. For the monsters, I run Moulinglacia for my level 8. Moulinglacia is an excellent card. It is dead sometimes, but because its effect is so powerful, I have to justify running one. This card on summon makes your opponent discard 2 cards from their hand randomly. Well, you get to choose randomly, and it's very, very good. It's also sort of easy to summon, and it's also searchable in this build, which makes it one of the best elemental lords for an archetype, simply because elemental lords can be dead a lot, especially because of the 5 requirement exactly, and this deck can manage the grave so well, as well as being searchable. Just makes this card a must have in my opinion. I got one Abyss Lead. Abyss Lead is here because it has a good effect. You contribute a water monster to send a card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. So similar to Moulinglacia, although it's not a very good draw. It's good when it's summoned off Linda, and it's also good when summoned off Soul Charge. One Megalo, unlike Lead, it's actually not that bad to draw, although it's preferable you don't draw it. It has a good on summon effect if it's used from the hand, so although it does require 2 other water monsters, you do get a Abyss Sphere straight from your deck, as well as having a 2400 attack beat stick that can attack twice. Double or triple Teus rather. Teus is much easier to summon than his 2 other level 7 counterparts. Although his effect is arguably worse. His stats are slightly worse. He's 2400 defense, but only 1700 attack. When he's summoned by discarding a water monster, you can add a Mermail monster from your deck turn that's level 4 lower, which is usually Pike, which is next. Pike is one of the lower level Mermails. Very powerful card. Pretty much triggers the Atlantean effects in your hand, and then searches for another Atlantean or Linda or whatever other level 3 or lower monster you want. Usually I choose Undyne for his target. Triple Linda for summoning off Abyss Sphere, or for setting to get a big monster out. Abyss Sphere plays are probably your best use, but other than that she's usually never dead. 1 Gunda, just because it's an exceptional card, although it is at 1. I do run the 1 copy just because you get it in your hand, you discard it off an Abyss Pike play, and you can get right back onto your side of the field a Mermail monster, a big lead or something. So it means that having a lead in grave is an excellent thing. Tidal for grave control, also because of his effect in hand, you can discard this plus another water monster, right? Trigger that water monster's effect and send a water monster straight from your deck to your grave. Usually I target something like a Linda or something, just to get it in the grave for setting up Moulinglacia plays. There are other cards that are useful too, depending on the stage of the game. For example, I usually send in Genix Undyne if I've drawn into the 2 controllers, or I've used an Undyne, got a controller, and drawn into the second one, because that Undyne would be dead, so it gives this card a use. 1 Dragoons, double infantry, and triple marksman, or my Atlantean fuel for my Mermails. I picked these ratios because obviously Dragoons is at 1. I think Marksman's better than Heavy Infantry, simply because so many monsters are immune to destruction, and this can hit set cards, and it's just so devastating turn 1 to start pappling your opponent's back rows as you're doing your plays. Heavy Infantry is good too, but just because so many monsters are immune to destruction, or aren't really hurt by destruction because they replace themselves or they float, I think this is less valuable. Although I do think you should run the 2, or maybe the 1, simply to get that extra advantage and have there as toolboxing. Double Genix Undyne, simply because it's a really good card. It's searchable off Abyss Pike, as well as being pretty devastating turn 1. I mean, you can +2 off this card, or you can destroy opponent's monsters or spells or traps off just the 1 summon. And 2 Controller, which are just vanillas that get searched by Undyne. Lure works with Controller, which, as I just mentioned, Controller is searchable, and is searchable by card that is also searchable. So you're effectively running well, 9 copies of the card. So yeah, plenty of targeting. Mind Control because Shadows. Double Soul Church, I bumped this up to 2 just because it's so devastating in this deck. You can make such unbreakable fields. It's insane, especially with the grave control you have with Moulinglacia, and also the fact that you can bring back a lead plus the thing that he contribute to get his effect, on top of maybe a couple of cards for a rank 4 and a Leo play. Triple MST because you want to, even though you've those marksmen, you always want your plays to go through in Mermail. This is a combo based deck, so you really want your summons to get through. Run 1 Warning, 1 Compulse, 1 Bottomless, 1 Torrential, and double Breakthrough Skill. These are generic traps. You run these simply because a bit of protection. You have the space for them, and I think they're very good cards, especially this meta. Torrential isn't as good, but it's still a very valid card, so I do run the 1 copy. Triple Evisphere. These are MVPs in this deck. They make it's a 1 card lead or Abyss Megalo, simply because you summon a Linda, it gets destroyed, then Linda searches. It thins out your deck a bunch too. And then 1 Trap Stun. It's kind of a tech choice in here, just because I want my, if I'm about to go for game, I want my big plays to go through, which can happen so easy. If I go second, I can usually do a lot of damage by popping opponent's monsters, especially if I'm going to Moulinglacia play out. Set this Trap Stun for my next turn, which I'll usually go for game in, and it can be easy as that as winning a game with Mermails. So thank you very much for watching. This is my full 40 card Mermail deck. Please leave a like or comment if you did not like this video. Please feel free to tell me why. Next up I'll have Evils, which will also be this weekend. So thank you very much for watching, and peace out.